From the News Channel 5 Network, this is Sportsline.
On your television. It is Monday night after a Titans victory. Victory Monday, first one of the season. Of course, last week it was Victory Tuesday after the Monday Night Football win in Denver. And once again, it's Stephen Gostkowski, who has a bit of an up and down day, kills the game-winning field goal for the Titans. Yesterday it was a 49-yarder. Of course, this time the defense really had to come up and get a stop after that, which stops were few and far between in the second half of the game. So there were some nervous people, not at Nissan Stadium, obviously, because there were no fans there yesterday, but at home on the couch cushions or where have you during the day, because Gardner Minshew and the Jags sort of dashed this defense up and down, left and right in the second half. But big Jeff Simmons, who had a relatively quiet day himself, was able to get his big paw up there in the air and deflect a pass that just happened to fall right in the lap of Harold Landry, and the Titans were able to put things away. 33-30 win over the Jaguars. It is the Titans' 7th consecutive win over Jacksonville at home at Nissan Stadium, though no game has ever looked quite like a home game like that was. And so here the Titans are, 2-0 for the first time since 2008. That is an incredible stat when you think about it. That's just 2 games into the season, but the Titans have been unable to win their first 2 games of any season, going all the way back a dozen years. But there is some hope there, maybe, if you're a Titans fan, in this regard, that the Titans' goal this season most definitely is to win the AFC South and have home games in the playoffs, something they have been unable to do even while getting into the playoffs over the last couple of years, even while advancing all the way to the AFC Championship game last year. The Titans' goal is to have home playoff games to give them the best chance to not just get back to the AFC Championship game, but to get beyond that and ultimately get and win a Super Bowl for the first time in franchise history. And the last time the Titans started 2-0 in 2008 was the last time they won the AFC South. So that is the goal, and they're off to a pretty good start because they're a full game up on both the Jaguars and the Colts through just 2 weeks into the season. The Texans are 0-2, and we saw a bunch of teams around the league yesterday get just decimated by injuries. The Colts themselves lost Malik Hooker and Paris Campbell. Hooker's done for the year. Campbell probably is. We saw a team like the Broncos, the team the Titans played on Monday Night Football just a week ago. Drew Lock sprained his AC joint. That is probably at least a month, maybe as much as 2 months before he can get back and play. They also lost wide receiver Cortland Sutton, who didn't play against the Titans and came back to play against the Steelers yesterday and then got hurt himself. So he's now out for the year because of a knee injury. We saw Saquon Barkley, the star running back for the Giants, tear his ACL. He's done for the year. So a whole litany of injuries affect the 49ers yesterday in New York. Sounds like Jimmy Garoppolo may try to gut it out this weekend, but Nick Bosa and Solomon Thomas both done likely for the season on the defensive side of the ball. Raheem Mostert also went out yesterday in that game against the Jets. So you have a bunch of teams around the league. There are going to be 11 2-0 teams at the end of tonight when the Raiders and Saints wrap up, unless they tie. But you'll have 11 2-0 teams, which is a lot, frankly, through 2 weeks. But you're going to have a bunch of teams that are licking their wounds, figuratively in some cases in a record sense, and then literally in other cases like the 49ers or the Colts or the Broncos, who've had some real significant injuries that are going to drastically impact what they plan to do for the rest of the season. So the Titans stand in a good position at 2-0, and maybe the most important thing about where they stand is I don't think they've played all that well yet. You know, in Denver, I thought the defense played pretty well all night long. It was the offense that couldn't quite get over the hump. Never truly got going on all cylinders. And then obviously you had all of the issues on special teams with Stephen Gostkowski 3 field goals missed, an extra point missed. When you look back at that game, the Titans win 16-14. It's entirely likely that they could have had at least 9, 10 more points in that game. The offense could have done its part as well. It could have finished a few more drives, maybe gotten a touchdown in that span. But there's a real easy way to see the Titans having 26, 27, 28, 30 points in that opener in Denver. But they didn't get it done. And thank heavens for the defense for showing up and limiting the Broncos in the way that they did and getting the offense the ball back to give them the chance to drive the field in the way they did and give Gostkowski the chance to kick his field goal to win the game. Because it doesn't happen if it's not for the defense last week. Likewise, it doesn't happen yesterday if the offense isn't incredible. The offense yesterday clicked the way it needed to go. Now, Derrick Henry still didn't have a massive day. The Jaguars sold out to try to stop him because he had done so much against them over the last couple of years. And for the most part, they did a good job. They held him to about 3.5 yards a carry, 25 rushes, just 84 yards on the day. You achieve balance there. You get over 100 yards in terms of rushing as an offense. So that's okay. But it's not the dominant rushing that we've become accustomed to watching with this Titans team and watching with Derrick Henry in particular in the backfield. But what was incredibly impressive yesterday was Ryan Tannehill and the passing game. You see why he's the leader. Yesterday was a reason why they paid him $118 million over 4 years to be this team's franchise quarterback. Because the running game did not do what you hoped it would do. And Tannehill stood back there. 7 of 11 on third downs. Almost all of those were through the air. Several of them to Adam Humphries, a couple of them to Anthony Firkser. Titans were able to convert. They were able to extend drives. And they were able to ultimately get points. And Tannehill throws for a career-high tying 4 touchdowns. He got Jonnu Smith involved. His buddy from the offseason pandemic workouts down in South Florida is off to an incredible start to this year. He's already tied a career high with 3 touchdowns just 2 weeks in. Yesterday, he set a career high with 84 yards receiving on 4 catches. The very first play of the game was scripted to go to him. It goes for 63 yards. 2 plays later, Tannehill throws it up top to him. Jonnu goes and gets it. And the Titans are on the board 7-0. He got a touchdown later in the first half as well. You got Corey Davis back into the end zone. Humphries was great on third down, as we mentioned. And all that was without A.J. Brown. So you have to give a lot of credit to the Titans' passing game yesterday. Defense struggled. Defense struggled mightily. Running game didn't get going as much as you would like, though the balance was there, and the Titans were very efficient in the red zone. And credit to Stephen Gostkowski. Yes, he missed another extra point. That's now 5 kicks through 2 games, and that is a concern. But he drilled a 51-yard field goal on the final play of the first half. That was a big play, by the way. And he drilled a 49-yard field goal with 1:36 to go that put the Titans in front and ultimately proved to be the game winner. So the Titans get to 2-0. They get another win over the Jaguars. They're on top of the AFC South. But yet, as Mike Vrabel told us today, there is a lot to improve upon with this team as they now get set to go to Minnesota for Week 3 and a kickoff at noon Sunday on News Channel 5 against the now very desperate and surprisingly 0-2 Vikings. What are your thoughts on the game yesterday? Where did you watch, by the way, since you were not in Nissan Stadium for the game? What did you think of watching that game on TV, knowing that there were no fans there? What was your impression about how that went on? And most importantly, what did you think about the Titans' performance? How do you feel about where they are right now, standing at 2-0? 2 weeks into the season? Our phone lines are open. 737-7767 is the number if you would like to join the program tonight. Let me give you my impressions of yesterday. It was one of the most surreal sporting events I have ever been to. And I had been to, I guess, all 3 of the Nashville SC matches since they've moved back into Nissan Stadium here in the return to play without fans. So it wasn't the first time I've watched a sporting event with nobody in the crowd. But to be there for an NFL game where normally the buzz of the city is just electric, honestly, on a Sunday morning, and for no one to be around was just surreal. On a normal Titans Sunday morning, I live downtown, and I like to get out in the morning after church and kind of get the feel of the city. See who's downtown, what Broadway looks like, what the pedestrian bridge looks like. I like that. That's part of what the game day experience has been for me since I've lived here for 10 years or so. And to walk out there on Sunday morning, it might as well have been a Thursday. There just was no real buzz to the downtown. There were a few people walking around in Titans jerseys and uniforms and all that, which would be weird for a normal Thursday probably. But there just wasn't much buzz there. There was almost no one on the pedestrian bridge when I went over to make my way to Nissan Stadium. And then as I got over the bridge, normally that's the point where obviously the crowd's really starting to pick up because they're starting to get to the place and sort of condense together of where you would walk down to the stadium. But the other thing is when you get to that place, not only are you getting into a bit more of a crowd, but you're also getting to the place where you see all the parking lots and you see all the tailgating and you see all the atmosphere. And I'm telling you, I walk over the bridge last night or yesterday and you look out there and it's nothing but black pavement. There are no cars. There are no tailgates. There's nothing going on. And it was hard to believe that there was going to be an NFL football game played inside Nissan Stadium when that was what the outside atmosphere is. And then, of course, you go through all the protocols and get your temperature checked and do the questionnaire and everything you have to do just to get inside the stadium right now, even as a media member. And you walk inside, and normally you're able to go down on the field and get up close and see what's going on in warm-ups. This year we have to stay in the lower bowl of the stadium, and you're walking in there and there's no one around. It is a few ushers, a few media members, and that's it. And everyone else in the stadium, frankly, is on field level. Coaches, support staff, and the players. And so you do that, and then you go up to the press box, and they eventually kick off with nobody in the stands. And it was just really, really bizarre. And once the game was going, the other thing that was interesting to me is I think from a television perspective, the NFL and its broadcast partners have done a really good job of pumping in the crowd noise to each of these games. So when something big is happening or when a completion is made or an interception happens, there is some noise to it, which gives you some sense of normalcy even though you know that there's no one in the crowd or that there's 5,000 people in the crowd, depending on where you're watching. It was dead quiet at Nissan Stadium. And what was interesting is I had to leave before the game ended to get back here to do our responsibilities that we have to do immediately once the game is over. And so I actually watched the end of the game from back here at the station on TV, and there was crowd noise. And it was just so fascinating to me because I sat there for the first half of the game plus in essentially dead silence. Somebody gets a big interception, no roar from the crowd. Touchdown, nothing. The only thing you get is the fireworks they shoot off at the stadium. But no cheers, nothing like that. So that's all you get. And then you turn on the TV, and it sounds totally different. You know there's nobody there, but it sounds different. So props to the NFL, and again, its broadcasting partners for giving that experience to the fans who cannot be there, because it makes it feel a little bit more normal. And we're all looking for normal, I think, right now. But yeah, to be there was certainly a surreal feeling. We'll talk more about this Titans game. We'll get your thoughts as well. 737-7767 is the number. Join us up here tonight on Titans Talk. Let's talk about a 2-0 Tennessee football team after a 33-30 win over the Jaguars yesterday at Nissan Stadium. More Titans Talk on the way. This is News Channel 5 Plus.